sort of environmental destruction is often framed as a crisis of uh, science or policy or technology, whether the failures of those things or otherwise the ways in which those things can sort of light a path beyond the crises that we find ourselves in. While those are, of course, sort of critical dimensions, they're they're also not the whole picture, right? The way we relate to the earth is shaped by um, deeper cultural structures of meaning, of ethics, of imagination, even. So I think this is where religious and spiritual communities have an enormous role to play, and it's part of what um, makes studying them within the field of religion and ecology within a scholarly fold um, such an exciting place to be. Um, because if those communities are going to be part of the solution to acknowledging and responding appropriately to the environmental crises that we're faced with today, they also have to be willing to critically examine their own histories and their own sort of traditional ways of being. So a challenge I see is that many religious communities are still hesitant to fully sort of embrace ecological responsibility as a central concern, right? Um, there's often a sense that environmentalism is a secular issue, or that something like climate change is something external to religious life, rather than something that fundamentally reshapes what it means to be religious in the first place. I think this is a big part of what my work seeks to do. It sort of challenges this idea that um, uh, the sphere of environmental concern is primarily a sphere of the secular. So moving forward, I think one of the key tasks will be helping religious communities to see that ecological care is not simply an add-on to their work, right? It's already embedded in their in their traditions, whether that's been recognized or not. And moreover, religious traditions are always changing to respond to their practical circumstances, to the circumstances in which these traditions are practiced, right? So, how are those changes already taking place? I think that's a really important insight that the scholar of religion and ecology can provide us with today, and maybe needs to be our focus as we grapple more so with the state we find ourselves in of ecological crisis or multiple crises. But at the same time, I think we have an additional opportunity insofar as the climate crisis specifically is forcing people to ask fundamental questions about meaning, responsibility, the nature of human existence. And many people are looking for frameworks that go beyond mere policy debates or personal lifestyle changes. Um, they're looking for something that can make sense of the scale that we're facing, um, of the scale of the crisis we're facing, I should say, to provide a way to respond with integrity. And I think religious and philosophical traditions have obviously long been grappling with questions of impermanence or suffering, obviously with moral obligation. Um, so this remains a moment when those traditions can step forward, not necessarily with easy answers. There are none, but with a sort of depth of thought, a depth of practice, and a deep well of moral resources that have been cultivated over centuries as living traditions to give the people who are asking these questions the tools to apply in their interrogations to figure out, you know, what next steps can I take to contribute within both my religious community and at the level of an individual as a citizen, to being part of solutions. So for me, the opportunity lies in the fact that we're not just talking about the future of religion and ecology as a field. We're talking about the future of how we think and speak and act in relationship to the earth itself, right? If we take seriously the idea that language shapes reality, as I do, then I think we have to consider how religious and spiritual traditions, as well as philosophical traditions, can help us develop new ways of speaking and thinking about the natural world. Not just in the sense of finding the right theological terms, but in the sense of creating a different kind of attentiveness, one that moves beyond this sort of modalities of control and extraction and toward response and participation. I think that's so much of what informs a lot of the scholarship that's taking place in religion and ecology today.